This is Lady Myya. I am here with my homegirl, Michelle Dickinson. Okay, let me tell you about Sister Sledge. Sister Sledge got it going on. She is helping us, y'all. Helping us with mental health, with understanding what it is that we're trying to do and what we need to really realize within the scope of what we're going through right now. And this is such a pivotal moment, especially with everything kind of being, it's not our normal anymore. Like our normal is gone. It's gone. And so she's gonna tell us about herself, and then we'll piggyback off of that. Well, Miss Michelle, say hello to my Mayan tribe.
I'm so grateful that you are having me here today. Thank you so much, Lady Myya. You're awesome. So a little bit about me. I'm a passionate mental health advocate, but I wasn't always a mental health advocate. I grew up with a mother who had bipolar disorder, and it was something I never spoke about. But then I gave a TED Talk that led me to my memoir that I wrote and released. And now I'm just real connected to the difference I can make by talking about mental health. So that's what I'm up to. That's what I do. I live in New Jersey. I live by myself. I'm in my hometown. And I'm out to cause change in the world when it comes to having people understand it and really get the support they need.
No, that's understandable. Wow, your mother had it. That is very interesting. So at least you had like a one-on-one situation with mental health, and that gave you a perspective that not everybody can say that they have, but at the same time we should be able to hear what you're saying and understand a little bit better as opposed to just not.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, okay, tell my Mayan tribe what a sister girl be doing on the daily.
Well, I used to work in the pharmaceutical industry. I finished last year a 19-year career, and I was pretty proud of that. And I decided, you know what, there needs to be more change. So I created my own company. So I have a mental health company called Trifecta Mental Health. And what I'm doing is I'm working with companies, I'm working with educators to cause more understanding and resilience training. So I'm delivering resilience training to companies, employees, and to educators. There.
Yes. That is a good thing, like with companies and different things like that. I think it's more in these big companies because there's so much to do, and then they're letting people go and giving the people that are left double time, sometimes triple time the work, and that can be stressful, and that can lead to all sorts of issues at that point in time. And I think that is very, very interesting that you do so. I mean, thank you, honey.
Yeah, it's so funny because right before the pandemic, I was working with a couple of clients, and then the pandemic hit, and everyone's working from home. So my existing clients were like, Michelle, how do we support our people? So the ones that are doing something now to support their people, they don't even realize what they're doing. They're breeding loyalty. They're absolutely making sure the employees are engaged, therefore performing. So it's like a win-win when companies call me and say, can you deliver your resilience program so my people are empowered and they're feeling good about what they're doing, they're feeling good about their family, they're feeling good about their mental health. So I'm loving the companies that are really getting it. So awesome.
And that's so awesome because definitely we need everybody to just be more aware, and the fact that you're willing to help, that speaks volumes. That speaks absolute volumes, and I'm pretty sure those companies are grateful to have you there, especially for their people, especially if they really care about their people. That really shows a lot of dignity, to even think about your people that much. So that's
You know, if we listen to the news, the issue is if we listen to the news all day long, it's
Mhm.
definitely going to deplete us. So I actually have pulled together a lifetime of tips and tools and resources to remind people there's so much they do have control over. There's so much they can do. And it's really, starts one with step away from the television. It's so basic as that, but and then all the tips I'm sharing is probably the things your mother told you to do when you were young. To be honest with you, it's all common sense, but I pull it together in a way that leaves people empowered around their health. And that I think is the first step in having them take ownership of their mental health before it escalates and then they need clinical support.
Yes. Okay, I do have a question for you, however, because it kind of goes along with, what you just said before and now. Um, what are some of the key components do you feel that people that are dealing with it and
Mhm.
the people that are around them should notice?
Yeah. It's so important to have a normal conversation in the home about how you're doing. You know, it's so important that we don't step over how we're doing emotionally, that we're checking in with ourselves. A large part of my resilience program is just having people get present to how they're doing and recognizing that past trauma and past life events are going to have us experience the same exact scenario very differently than the person sitting next to us. So it's having that compassion for yourself, having that grace for yourself, giving your loved ones compassion, and and honestly just owning like today is not a good day for me. And then you give your loved one the opportunity to jump in and say, okay, so how can I support you? But if we can't recognize how we're feeling, we can't verbalize it. So my role is really, I want to get you comfortable checking in on a daily basis with how you're doing emotionally.
Yes. And then like us people, and I'm not saying like,
Yeah.
people that don't deal with it, because I mean, I think everybody has a smidge of it, anyway, but at the same time, those that don't show those tendencies,
Yeah.
and but we see someone else that may,
Yeah.
what can we say, what can we do, what kind of support
Yeah.
can we bring to them and allow them to like take advantage of?
So here's the thing. So many of us don't want to engage with someone who we feel is struggling because we feel like we got to fix it. We do not have to fix it. Do not underestimate the power of just extending yourself and saying, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you doing? Yesterday for me was a really crappy day, but today I'm better. So, hey, how are you feeling? Because I'm noticing, I know your personality and you're really, you're not on your game. So how are you doing? And just create that space, create that opening for them to choose or not to tell you how they're doing. And I tell you, if you are consistent with being there for the people you love and opening that door, they are going to come to you eventually.
Yes. You know what? I do with what you said. Would you say that it would be okay to open your own self up to that person
Yeah.
and then tell them, listen, I really feel like you should talk to someone, and it's okay, whatever you're going through. But you really, if you can't talk to me, talk to someone. But I always want to be your support, regardless of what, you
Amen.
know?
Amen. Amen. And honestly, you going first and telling one on yourself creates a human connection, right? A connectivity, a relatedness with one another. And the best advice you can give a loved one is to talk to someone. Fine, you don't want to talk to me, go talk to your buddies. Go out and have a beer with your buddies. Connect with someone that you feel you can connect with, but get out of here. Because when we verbalize how we're feeling, it becomes far less scary. And if you're in your head, things can get bigger and bigger and bigger real quick. So verbalizing how you're feeling to someone you trust and you admire is really going to be a good thing for someone who struggles.
Yes. Okay. No, I understand completely. So, what type or what events can we actually look forward from you? Because, like, I just feel like everything you do at this point, I want to be a part. I'm just saying. That's just me. I don't care.
Love it.
So I know my Mayan tribe maybe feel the same way.
Yeah.
What can we look forward to?
Honestly, I'm building the plane as I'm flying it, totally honest with you. My resilience program has given me so much satisfaction in being able to make an immediate difference in people's lives. So companies are having me in to work with their people. I'm also working with school districts for teachers. Teachers are under immense pressure right now. They're trying to toggle a hybrid format. They're worrying about their own health and well-being, and also they're being watched every day. They're virtually teaching someone's child. So there's a lot of stress and anxiety there. So I deliver my program to educators, deliver it to businesses, any size business. So if you're interested in having, more tools and having your employees engaged and feeling better, especially going into the winter months, like reach out to me. I'd be so helpful in terms of empowering your people, and honored to help.
Mhm. No, certainly, certainly. Okay, you guys, we're gonna have to turn it to part two, because what I want to ask her, I was trying to be professional, but professional about to come off. Okay, so like for me, I am the type of person, and I can thank my whole family for destroying me this way. Um, it's more so that we were brought up, if you went through anything, you hold it in, you don't tell nobody, you keep a smile on your face, and you keep it going.
Yeah.
And what the worst part about that was, everybody was in church. I mean, my uncle was the pastor, my auntie was first lady, everybody had their respective places
Yeah.
in the church and or their own churches.
Yeah.
So it was more so frowned upon to let anybody see you cry or have this thing. Now, mind you, when I was younger, I really wanted not to be here. I tried my best just to try to figure it out on a day to day. But it was hard. It was super hard. Like, I did not come out of my shell till I was almost 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
And so how I taught my kids, and I could be wrong, but there's going to be a whole bunch of people that's going to say, now, dang nabbit, you should not have done that. I let my children in my business. Why I did that is because I wanted them to know how you're supposed to really respond to things, as opposed to holding it in and not crying about it.
Yeah.
I gave them the option. Listen, as long as you know,
Yeah.
and when I shut down, just give mama some moments. She needs her moments. My kids knew how to, you know what? I'm not gonna say that because that sounds real mean. No, I'm gonna say it. No. So my kids learned how to pour 4 ounces for their mama when they would see me just not having a good day, And they're like, well, we understand, mommy. Do you need 4 ounces? Yes, ma'am. Okay. And they would bring it to me, and I would, I would calm down or whatever, but they noticed and they understood because I was more open with my kids. My kids were my best friends.
Human. You're human. Yeah.
And so, like, but I was brought up was, oh, you shush and you stay in a child's place and you're not allowed to say anything. And so in that, when we were going through stuff and we were being harassed or, for any whatever reason, we weren't allowed to tell nobody.
Yeah.
And that destroyed us more than anything. All the bullying, all the, the harassments, just the, being put in corners that you're not supposed to be at certain ages, and then it's just like,
and then being suppressed, right? That, imagine like being suppressed and not being able to speak your voice and
exactly,
and express how you're feeling and
right.
really Oh, that's so hard. So
Yeah.
good on you for turning that around, right? I
Right.
mean, thank goodness. Thank goodness
Right.
you got the message that that's not the way it should be.
I exploded the box, ma'am. I exploded the box. It's
But
like,
that,
no.
I've heard so many people say you don't talk about mental health, you pray about it. And
Yes.
and honestly, I think there's a place for both. Why is there not a place for both? I think
Right.
you have to take an action. You have to do some action if you want a different result. So you
Right.
have to do something over here, but then you don't have to abandon your spirituality and your religion. I think there's a place for both. So you know, it's amazing how future generations are turning things on its head, like you just like your very example. I think it's great.
Mhm. Yes.
For
I
sure.
so like, okay. I guess for me, I wanted a story because I need a story, Sister Sledge. That's what I need.
Okay.
What can, like, what situation that you were in kind of like stands out to you most, that kind of at least got you to a point to where you had to see what
Yeah.
that thing was.
Yeah. I think, there's a couple pivotal moments. Like growing up with my mother, I was her caregiver. So if you know anything about someone with a mental illness, my mother had bipolar. So she had rapid highs and severe lows. Like we're talking crying uncontrollably. There's nothing anyone can do until she is taken out of the house to a mental hospital. So witnessing that, I learned how hard mental health looked like over here, over there, right? What it looked like over there. So that was hard, but it also taught me compassion and understanding that you just don't write it off as someone's crazy, because that's what crazy looks like. And oh my God, that looks so painful. So I learned that. And then I'm adopted. So I thought, I'm never going to have to deal with this. Thank goodness I don't swim in her gene pool. And then I got older and, I gave my TED talk for the first time. I told people about the story of my mom, and I wrote my memoir and I released it and everything's going great. And then boom, a life event happens. I get divorced. And so this was the reality check that nobody's immune to a mental illness, because I was fine. I was fine. I did not ever have a diagnosis before this, but I get depressed and I get diagnosed as being clinically depressed because of this life event. So now I'm feeling what it feels like to have depression, and I'm getting a glimpse in what my mom might have lived through. And I'm trying to work and go to work every day and do the best I can while I'm depressed. Great. So I'm thinking I'm doing a good thing. I don't take myself out on disability. I just keep working. I'm thinking work is good for me. I'm just going to stay focused on my job. And then I disclose, because at the time I'm working at a Fortune 50 company. We're trying to shift the culture. We're trying to talk about it. I'm like, oh crap, I guess I got to lead by example. So I tell my boss, I'm like, I was diagnosed with clinical depression. And sometimes it's really hard for me to get out of bed. Sometimes it's really hard and I have to get to my doctor. And so I share this and it's met with a lukewarm response. Fast forward 6 months later, I'm getting my performance review. In my performance review, they said, you didn't measure up this year. You didn't do a good enough job. They said, you did not bring your bubbly, upbeat self to work every day. And that's what we were expecting. And they knew I was clinically depressed. So in that moment, you asked me for a story. That was such a pivotal moment, because I said to myself, how many other leaders are treating people like this, who have the courage to find their voice and tell you what they're dealing with, only to be smacked in the face for not being bubbly and upbeat? And that's when it hit me, like, I have got to do more for people out there who are just trying to hold it together, do their job, and navigate mental illness. Because it takes a lot more effort to pretend you're okay than it does for you to have a good rapport with your boss and say, I'm dealing with stuff, I'm depressed. So that was a turning point for me. And then, miraculously, my position was eliminated at the company. That's a whole other story. And then I say to myself, I'm at a crossroad. What do I do? That's it. I don't want this to happen to anyone else. That's when I created my company. That's
Love it. Yes.
so,
Because
so it wasn't pretty.
yes, because it's so, it's bad enough when you have the people in your home.
Right.
It's horrible when you have to come home to like nothing, and then the people outside are
Yes.
the ones beating you down, and it's just like, this is nonsense. Like, why?
Yeah.
For what? And I'm like, are you trying to make yourself feel better by making me feel worse?
I know. And
And
you know what? It was ignorance. If we look at the majority of the people in the world, they have pure ignorance around mental illness, right? Like, or they have a bias that mental health happens over there and it's with a crazy homeless person. It's not over here in my world. So that reaction to my performance spoke volumes of her ignorance and the work there is to be done just to get people more educated around what it is and what it isn't, you know?
right.
So.
Mhm. Okay, would you say that not only like speaking to people, like as like if I was that person and I needed help and I needed to talk to someone,
Mhm.
do you feel like okay, I guess for some strange reason I feel like it's in my ear that sometimes they feel like if you talk to one person,
Mhm.
you're cured.
Yeah,
But that's not it.
it's not.
This Your life is not in one thing,
Yeah.
kind of situation. I don't think anybody,
No.
ever.
And that's why we have to relate to mental health as a continuum, right? And we're gliding across this continuum. At any given time, we can have a life event that comes and hits us. We can have financial challenges. We could have a death in the family, and we're going to glide along a continuum. So we don't relate to mental health as mentally ill or mentally well, because we're all just doing the best we can with life events that are happening. So for you to sit there and say, I'm mentally well, like, no, you're not. We all got something going on. Like, so if we could just stop saying you're well or not well, and you just say, I'm gliding across the mental health continuum, and some days are good and some are not, then it's not such a big thing, right? Then people aren't fearing I'm going to be mentally unwell or I'm mentally strong. Like, stop with the labels.
Yeah, that is true. They, we need the labels. Why are the labels there in the first place? Because like who and it's funny because like my husband says, like, what is normal?
Yeah.
Normal is just a word.
Yeah.
It has no bearing on anything.
Right.
It's just a word. Now, who defined normal?
Mm-hmm.
A man did. Nobody else. A
Mm-hmm.
man wanted to make it seem as if you are not their type of normal,
Yeah.
you were supposed to be thrown away or, just not even in that space. And I thought about it and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
this is why I'm not normal and I love it. I don't care what anybody says.
It's true, right? Why be normal? It's kind of boring anyway.
It really is. I say that all the time. I'm just like, who does that? No.
True.
But then everybody's like, yeah, I don't want to be normal either.
Yeah.
That's not where I want to be because I mean, at the same time, then it just gives people the right to say, oh, that's not normal, and for you to feel bad about that. And I'm like, yeah, who cares? It's not normal. So if there's anything you would like to say to my Maya tribe, the floor is yours.
Honestly, I think the best we can all do is just care for one another. It sounds so basic. I think it starts with giving ourselves grace. We're living through a pandemic. This is not easy for anyone. And like I mentioned early on, we're all going to have those past traumas that play into how well we navigate this. So, first off, give yourself grace. Second off, check in on those that you love. Don't assume they're okay. The quiet ones, the happy ones, like, no, don't assume. Don't assume that they're always okay. So just love on your people and check in on your people and don't make assumptions that they're doing okay, and don't underestimate the power of how are you doing because they may have nobody else checking on them.
That is very true. So how can my Mayan tribe reach you, dear heart?
My website is the best way to reach me. It's Michelle with 2 L's, E, Dickinson, like Fairleigh Dickinson, DICKINSON.com.
Yes, okay. You guys, you heard it from Michelle. She is caring, and she just definitely wants, all of us to be in a better state. And I think it's super, super, uber important that this is happening, because who else is going to do the things that you can do, or have the reach that you have, or even know the people that you have, So, this is important. It really is. This is, not just for you, but for those who are around you as well. And just take, sometimes we just all need to kind of take a step back, assess what we've done, assess what's happened, and then we can kind of move forward. Like, if I think about it, I did go through something, and I have been kind of down in the dumps. Maybe I should talk to someone. I should talk to someone. And I'm grateful for Miss Michelle. She is just one of the ones that was like, she did not open the door, okay? She bust through the door, and I love every minute of it. She's amazing. But I appreciate everyone, and thank you so much, Michelle, for really being on my show. And I hope this is not the last time we get to talk, because I love talking to you. I love it.
Let's do it again.
Certainly. Certainly. Well, thank you so much, you guys. This is Lady Myya, and I will talk to you guys later.